Hey everybody, I'm John Reffett and welcome back to the shop. Hope everybody's doing well through this coronavirus thing. Be safe and take care of yourself through this. But what I thought I'd do another video, just be some rod building things. We're going to maybe add a handle to this one green blank here. Here's another one that's just almost completely finished. It's another rod just like the one we did in the previous rebuild. But sometimes you will get a little bump in the thread, maybe, or maybe you've left a little tag in stick out, and you can take a razor blade and just cut that off, and then re-epoxy. And as that stuff levels, you'll never see it. So we'll get some more close-ups, and I'll show you. There's a couple of bumps that I need to take off of this one, and one more coat of epoxy over the marbling area and the decals, and this one will be finished. And also, wanted to show a few things I don't think I showed you in the other videos about guide spacing. A lot of the guide sets that you get, if you order just a set or if you piece them out, sometimes in the guide set you'll get this that comes with it, and it gives you all the measurements from top to bottom. But if you don't have that, you can go on to, I believe it's fishmhx.com, and you can print off one for about everything they sell, fly rods, you know, everything. It doesn't matter what it is, and that'll be your standard guide placement, or you got the performance or the elite guides or whatever length your rod is. You can find all that information there. Something about the tips, when I talked about replacing one of the tips on how to measure, it gets a little confusing. So I printed this off. You have to measure your tube size, which is here, the bottom of the guide, you know, to fit whatever size rod you've got. Like the tool I showed before, this little thing from, you can get that at Mud Hole or some other places too. You can stick that tube down on top of these pegs, and it'll tell you what size it is. And it's a good thing if it might be an odd size or something, go one size bigger and you'll be okay. Now, as far as the ring goes, if you can see here, you'll want to take your calipers and measure. That's the insert, outside edge to outside edge of the insert. And like I say, you can go one size bigger. I tend to try to make it about the same size as my last guide, and that's generally about how they work. But these two measurements, be sure to get the tube size and the outside edge of the insert. Now, if it's not there, if the insert's missing, you can just measure the inside of the ring of the guide and get your right guide that way. And two, if you're looking for different rods, you've got the different actions. Hopefully you can see this. Maybe you can screenshot off of the video later, but you've got an extra fast, and you can see about how far it'll bend. A fast is a little less, moderate fast is a little less, and it bends deeper into the rod on each one of these. And then you've got a moderate, which you might see in a crankbait rod, and a slow action that bends really far down into the blank. So this is a little thing to help you, maybe if you're looking for a rod for a specific build or something like that. So I thought I'd show you those things, and we'll do some handle. This is it's a Winn grip MHX handle. This is the one I said that I really liked because it fits the palm of your hand really well for a spinning rod. It's called a palm swell. And then of course, you know, you've got your butt cap to go along with it, and then also the foregrip if you like those. If not, you can order a winding check, which is basically this. Slides down the rod and covers the whole end to end of whichever, the foregrip or the rear grip. It makes kind of a nice transition. But you can order this, you know, put it on anything. This one happens to have the chartreuse in the handle, the MHX, or you can get them black, or, you know, I think there's a few other colors. And it also comes with an arbor, which I'll talk about again. We did it once before, I think. You can either use one of these that come with it, hone it out to fit your rod blank, or use masking tape. So we'll get the camera moved around and get right back and we'll get started on this. Okay, so I thought we'd start with the handle first. This is a 7-foot medium spin jig rod, I believe. I'm not sure the exact number. But we need to start reaming out our butt cap and everything, and the handle. Now what you're going to need is a reamer. Now I think I showed this in the other video. One thing I want to say, this is EVA foam on the inside with that Winn grip around it. These are a little bit tougher to ream out, takes a little bit longer. Now if you're doing cork, remember it's going to ream out a whole lot quicker, so be careful. Ream a little bit, fit, ream a little bit and fit. With these, you know, you can't go all the way through them, so be careful when you do, because you can run the reamer out the rear end of this thing, and been there, done that, so you have to order another one. So be careful when you do it as you ream. I like to take it down and maybe put a piece of tape around it so I know that's as far as I need to go. So I'll get started. I'll ream all this stuff out, and then I'll show you how we fit it. It's going to take me a little while to ream these out, so I'll get that done. We'll come right back. Okay, so we got all the pieces reamed out, fitted. There's a foregrip, and that's what I was talking about earlier about a winding check. It makes a good transition between the rod blank and your handle pieces. You know, in case you get a little bit off as you're reaming. This handle kind of fits up over top of the rear grip. Makes it can hide some of the epoxy so it doesn't get out on it. And of course your butt cap and the winding checks will go up against each end of these. Now one thing about when you're reaming, be careful, because as you ream you can kind of run the piece up and down that reamer, but if you don't kind of turn the handle piece on that reamer, you can get kind of an egg-shaped look to it, and it's not going to fit quite right. But just be careful when you do it, and ream a little bit and then fit. And the other piece I was talking about, if you're not a foregrip fan, kind of like myself, this other tapered winding check, move this out of the way, will slide right down the rod and then make kind of just a gentle slope down towards the rod blank. So you can get these in different sizes, fit whatever size rod you've got. It's measured in millimeters. You want to measure the inside diameter, so it would be the outside diameter of your rod blank to the inside of your winding check. So when you lay all this out, be sure to put, I don't know if you can see it, but there's a mark here, mark on either end, so I know exactly where to put this stuff. So the next thing we'll do is mix up some epoxy and or some glue, and we'll glue the butt cap, then we'll glue the rear grip, and then build our arbor for the handle. Then glue on your foregrip and all of your winding checks, get everything right. You can wipe any excess you get on there. You can use a paper towel and some rubbing alcohol, takes it right off. So we'll get that set up, come right back. Then I remember what you need you need the pro paste, the resin and the hardener, something to mix it in. I use a couple of popsicle sticks, and equal amounts of this stuff. It doesn't have to be perfect like it does with your epoxy as you epoxy the guide. So just try to get as close as you possibly can. Mix it for at least 1 minute. You'll see it all blend together. And now they do make a 15-minute pro paste. This is not it, because I tend to do these and then let them sit overnight before I mess with anything else. So we'll get it mixed up. Okay, so we've got it all mixed up here. So the first step, butt cap. Now I like to take, this is just like a half of a popsicle stick. Take you some extra on your stick and then push it down into the butt cap. Try to not get it everywhere, but get it really down in there good. It can go up into the end of the rod some and really hold it on there good. And it will act like a grease too as you shove it together. You shove it down onto the rod blank. And then we'll spread a little bit onto the end of the rod blank and up into the end of it. You know, if you get any excess on there, you can just wipe it off with the alcohol. And we get up here to the mark, go about that. Doesn't take a whole lot, but you want to just try to cover everything really good, and twist as you put your piece on. Too much. Alright, and I put some tape on the end of it to help it clean up too, because you'll see as we shove this on here, it's going to start to ball up on the end of it. And be sure to twist. You can see how it's really starting to scrape a lot of it off. So I stop about halfway, and then you scrape off a little excess, and then continue just to push it right on up to your mark. So that's about it right there. Now on these, it had that MHX. I tend to try to line them up all the way straight across the top. So we'll move on to the rear grip. I've got a mark here, so we'll stay within that range right there. Just same thing as you did before, all the way across it. And take your rear grip and just twist him around as you go. Scrape off a little excess. Pretty simple, nothing very hard about this stuff. Just be sure to, you know, before you leave it set, that you got everything just how you want it. Like here, I only went 4 1/4, so you can make it whatever you want to. However you like your spacing to be. You build your own rod, you make it how you like it. Get a little bit of glue off the ends here. And if you do get some on the blank, you know, you can take it right off. So right down to our mark. So now we've got that. I would go ahead right now and get a little alcohol and get some of that excess off now, because it will start to set up on you. Just wipe it off really easy there. So the next thing we need to do is make our arbor for our handle. Now the one that came with it was these, which I don't really like. They're, as you can see, it's just about the same size as a blank. So by the time you get it reamed out, it's going to be about useless. So we'll just use a masking tape. It's pretty simple. We know where we're going to be here. I'll leave a little gap to pack a little paste in. And you just want to wrap it however much you need to. It's probably 16 millimeter handle, but you want that to be snug. As you can see, it's moving quite a bit there. So build that up till you just snug and it fits together really nice. You don't want it really tight. So I'll get this wrapped up. We'll come back and glue it. Okay, so we got our arbor built. Went ahead and put some epoxy on. Now as you get to the end, I like to take it and just get it over the edge right here and really seal that up, so you don't get, if you would happen to get some water in between the handle and the grip, it's not going to get down in there and undermine your tape. So a little extra in there might go a long way. And as you can see, we've packed it in here. So now we'll go ahead and slide the handle down. And same deal here, we'll twist as we go to try to get it all up into the handle and the little crevices and cracks, excuse me. Now if you see it starting to build up and poke out here, I like to keep a couple toothpicks handy and just dig out that extra so it doesn't squeeze out between your reel seat and your grip. Just get that excess off of there. And sometimes it does, but if it does, you can wipe it with the alcohol. Now this grip slides over the handle. And you can go ahead and place it close to where you need to have it. Remember, the first thing you ever want to do is do your spine, and I've got a mark up here, so we'll keep it close. Make sure we've got the same distance we wanted here. Yep, we're in good shape. So as you can see here, actually I went just a tad far. Let's move it back just a little bit. Right to the end of our tape. And we've got some epoxy in there. Now I'm going to go ahead and pack a little bit more, just to have a little extra in there. And that's why you want a little tape here on the end to keep that excess off your threads on your reel seat. And you can go ahead and spread some more glue out. You know, measure, I forgot to mark this one, so we won't come out any more than about 2 inches for the foregrip. Right there. Go ahead and coat the blank good. And push your foregrip down. Same deal, twisting as we go. Get that where you can see. And we got a little extra, so get it wiped off of there. Cinch everything up good. And go ahead and peel the tape off. Clean up any excess you've got. This stuff will not set that quick. But if you're using the 15-minute, now you got to be pretty quick. Tape really does help to keep everything as clean as you can, but you're bound to get just a little bit on it here and there. So make sure you've got everything shoved up good and tight. Just a little bit. Alright. So now all we have to do is just a little bit more glue here. And we'll put that winding check on. Put the winding checks on the other end and we'll have this handle glued up. Doesn't take a whole lot for these. These are rubber, so they will stretch. And once you get down to the glue, it'll really slide on. I'll take my thread pick sometimes and use it to kind of just push it right up against the handle. Kind of spin it to make sure it's not out of whack on you just a little bit. It'll affect you when you go to put your thread on. And there you have it. So I'll get the rest of this glue cleaned up and we'll come right back. Okay, so we got everything glued up, cleaned up, and lined up. So as you can see, there's really nothing to it. Now on these, where they've got the MHX down the side, I try to line these up. Sometimes they're a little bit off, but get them pretty straight. Just take your time, mark everything, and I think you'll come out with a good handle. So it's as simple as that. So we'll get with our next project here, fixing that other one with the ones that had the bumps in it, and do one more coat of epoxy, finish that up. Be right back. Okay, so we've got our other rod here. And like I said before, sometimes you will get a little dimple, or not a dimple, but like a little bump sticking up in your epoxy. Could be a piece of thread, maybe a piece of dust got in there, or possibly even a bubble or something. But you can turn it, and see I've got a little one here. Turn it slow and you'll be able to see those little bumps. Sometimes you might even feel them. But what you want to do is you can just slice that off. So get back around to where we had one right there. And just take your razor blade or X-Acto knife, either one. Use a sharp blade. And just kind of rub it across there. And cut a little slice. Don't cut too deep. You don't want to get into your thread or the blank. And then as that epoxy moves and levels itself, you won't see that. It'll cover it right up. Now if this stuff's been sitting for a week, maybe even longer, you'll want to take a little bit of fine sandpaper and just lightly go over it, kind of scratch it up a little bit to let your new coat of epoxy, let it stick to it. I don't know if you can see that little slice right there, but like I said, it will cover up. And then just check the rest. Pretty good, but I believe we had, well, there's one right there. And this doesn't always happen, just every so often you'll get these little places in there. I think that was a bubble maybe. And this will smooth it right up. Another one here. And that ought to do it. And then I'll take a piece of sandpaper and go over it really lightly, wipe it down good with alcohol, let it dry, and put another coat of epoxy on it to cover up what we've done. And that takes care of your marks. So you get those sometimes. They're really easy to overlook. Sometimes certain color threads tend to blend together. You get a little bit of a tag end sticking up, but that's how you cure it. So I hope that helped you. Okay, everybody, that about does it for this video. A couple more things I'd like to add about guide alignment. There's a couple of tools that Mudhole sells. One I like, one I wouldn't waste my money on again, which is this laser alignment tool. It will set in the reel seat, but the foot of this thing is not wide enough, and it moves quite a bit, so do not buy that one. But another one is pretty good. It's just basically like the foot of a spinning reel, and it fits really good. You just set it in your reel seat just like you would your reel, and then you can kind of sight down the rod, using that as your fixed point, and sighting down the rod and get your guide straight. The problem with the laser, every rod blank's not perfectly straight. So there could be a little tweak to one side. You'll see it sometimes on the tip. Not much, but just a little bit. But nothing beats your eye. So that's what I do. I get my mark where the spine is, and then after you get your handle on, you can sight down that handle. And you could use a piece of, say, braided line or something and stretch it out and help yourself that way. But always use your eye. I found that to be best. So everybody stay safe out there, and we'll see you next time.